कमलोत्पलधारिण्या शक्त्या लिङ्गितविग्रहं स्मेराननं सुप्रसन्नं साधकाभीष्टदायकम् ॐ गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ परमगुरुभ्यो नमः। एषु यर्घः ॐ श्री अरविन्दाय नमः।
ईशो यर्घः ॐ श्री अरविन्दाय नमः। श्री अरविन्दाय नमः।
Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, when the mind becomes quiet, one can feel the Divine Mother supporting the life, put everything into her hands. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Book 4, the Book of Birth and Quest, Canto 4, The Quest, page 384. Some winged like birds out of the cosmic sea and vanished into a bright and featureless vast. Some silent watched the universal dance, or helped the world by world indifference. Some watched no more, merged in a lonely self, absorbed in the trance from which no soul returns. All the occult world lines forever closed, the chains of birth and person cast away. Some uncompanioned reach the ineffable, as floats a sunbeam through a shady place. The golden virgin in her carven car came gliding among meditation scenes. Often in twilight, mid returning truths of cattle thickening with their dust the shades, when the loud day had slipped below the verge, arriving in a peaceful hermit grove, she rested, drawing round her like a cloak its spirit of patient muse and potent prayer. Or near to a lion river's tawny mane, and trees that worshipped on a praying shore, a domed and templed air's serene repose beckoned to her hurrying wheels to stay their speed. In the solemnity of a space that seemed a mind remembering ancient silences, where to the heart great bygone voices called, and the large liberty of brooding seers had left the long impress of their souls seen. awake in candid dawn or darkness mooned, to the still touch incline the daughter of flame, drank in hushed splendor between tranquil lids, and felt the kinship of eternal calm. Words of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, taken from the collective works of our Lord Sri Aurobindo, SABCL, Book The Life Divine, Topic The Triple Transformation, page 889. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, if it is the sole intention of nature in the evolution of the spiritual man to awaken him to the supreme reality and release him from herself or from the ignorance in which she, as the power of the eternal, has masked herself by a departure into a higher status of being elsewhere, if this step in the evolution is a close and an exit, then in the essence, her work has already been accomplished and there is nothing more to be done. The ways have been built, the capacity to follow them has been developed. The goal or last height of the creation is manifest. All that is left is for each soul to reach individually the first stage and turn of its development, enter into the spiritual ways and pass by its own chosen path out of this inferior existence. But we have supposed that there is a farther intention, not only a revelation of the Spirit, but a radical and integral transformation of nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, there is a will in her to effectuate a true manifestation of the embodied life of the Spirit, to complete what she has begun by a passage from ignorance to the knowledge, to throw off her mask and to reveal herself as the luminous consciousness force carrying in her the eternal existence and its universal delight of being. It then becomes obvious that there is something not yet accomplished. There becomes clear to view the much that has still to be done. There is a height still to be reached, a wideness still to be covered by the eye of vision, the wing of the will, the self-affirmation of the Spirit in material universe. What the evolutionary power has done is to make a few individuals aware of their souls, conscious of their selves, aware of the eternal being that they are, to put them into communion with the divinity or the reality which is concealed by her appearances. A certain change of nature prepares, accompanies or follows upon this illumination, but it is not the complete and radical change which establishes a secure and settled new principle, a new creation, a permanent new order of being in the field of terrestrial nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says the spiritual man has evolved, but not the supramental being, who shall henceforward be the leader of that nature. This is because the principle of spirituality has yet to affirm itself in its complete right and sovereignty. It has been up till now a power for the mental being to escape from itself or to refine and raise itself to a spiritual poise. It has availed for the release of the spirit from mind and for the enlargement of the being in a spiritualized mind and heart, but not, or rather not yet sufficiently, for the self-affirmation of the spirit in its own dynamic and sovereign mastery, free from the mind's limitations and from the mental instrumentation. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, the development of another instrumentation has begun, but has yet to become total and effective. It has besides to cease to be a purely individual self-creation in an original ignorance, something supernormal to earth life that must always be acquired as an individual achievement by a difficult endeavor. It must become the normal nature of a new type of being, as mind is established here on a basis of ignorance, seeking for knowledge and growing into knowledge. So, supermind must be established here on a basis of knowledge growing into its own greater light. But this cannot be so long as the spiritual mental being has not risen fully to supermind and brought down its powers into terrestrial existence. For the gulf between mind and supermind has to be bridged. The closed passage is opened, and roads of ascent and descent created, where there is now a void and a silence. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, this can be done only by the triple transformation to which we have already made a passing reference. They must first be the psychic change. The conversion of our whole present nature into a soul instrumentation. On that, or along with that, they must be the spiritual change, the descent of a higher light, knowledge, power, force, bliss, purity into the whole being, even into the lowest recesses of the life and body, even into the darkness of our subconscious. Last, they must supervene the supramental transmutation. They must take place as the crowning moment, the ascent into the supermind and the transforming descent of the supramental consciousness into our entire being and nature. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, at the beginning, the soul in nature, the psychic entity whose unfolding is the first step towards a spiritual change, is an entirely weak part of us, although it is that by which we exist and persist as individual beings in nature. The other parts of our natural composition are not only mutable but perishable, but the psychic entity in us persists and is fundamentally the same always. It contains all essential possibilities of our manifestation, but is not constituted by them. It is not limited by what it manifests, not contained by the incomplete forms of the manifestation, not tarnished by the imperfections and impurities, the defects and deprivations of the surface being. Our Lord Aurobindo says, it is an ever pure flame of the divinity in things, and nothing that comes to it, nothing that enters into our experience can pollute its purity or extinguish the flame. This spiritual stuff is immaculate and luminous, and because it is perfectly luminous, it is immediately, intimately, directly aware of truth of the being and truth of nature. It is deeply conscious of truth and good and beauty because truth and good and beauty are akin to its own native character, forms of something that is inherent in its own substance. It is aware also of all that contradicts these things, of all that deviates from its own native character, of falsehood and evil, and the ugly and the unseeming and the unseemly. But it does not become these things, nor is it touched or changed by these opposites of itself, which so powerfully affect its outer instrumentation of mind, life, and body. For the soul, the permanent being in us, puts forth and uses mind, life, and body as its instruments, undergoes the envelopment of their conditions, but it is other and greater than its members. Says our Lord, Sri Aurobindo.
Lord, the year is dying, and our attitude bows down to Thee. Lord, the year is reborn, our prayer rises up to Thee. Let it be for us also the dawn of a new life. Que la naissance de la nouvelle année soit une nouvelle naissance pour notre conscience, laissant le passé loin derrière nous, courons vers un avenir lumineux. Seigneur, l'année se meurt et notre gratitude s'incline devant Toi. Seigneur, l'année renaît et notre prière s'élève vers Toi. Que cela soit pour nous aussi l'aurore d'une vie nouvelle.
Superno yantarikshanyakhyat gavir bepahaya surahsunitha Vedanim suryah kaschiketa katamamadya rashmirasya tatana.
Prayers and Meditations, July 22nd, 1914. Thou art all love, O Lord, and Thy love shines resplendently in the depths of every thought and every heart. Accomplish Thy work of transfiguration, illumine us. Open the still closed doors, widen the horizon, establish strength, Unify our beings and make us participate in thy divine beatitude, that we may be able to make all men share in it. Grant that we may conquer the last obstacles, inner and outer, overcome the final difficulties. An ardent and sincere prayer has never risen in vain to thee. Always in thy munificence thou answerest every call, and thy mercy is infinite. O Divine Master, let thy light fall into this chaos, bring forth from it a new world. Accomplish what is now in preparation and create a new humanity which may be the perfect expression of thy new and sublime law. Nothing will stop our impetus, nothing will tire our effort, and resting upon thee, all our hopes and all our activities, strong in our complete surrender to thy supreme will, we shall march on to the conquest of thy integral manifestation with the calm certitude of victory over all that would oppose it. Hail to thee, Master of the world, who triumphest over all darkness.